The E46 M3. I don't own one, but you should go buy one as soon as possible. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tenza Motorsports. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the E46 M3 and the reasons why I don't personally own one. But before we get into that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you are not already, like if you enjoy this type of content, and follow us on Instagram, Tenza_Motorsports, where we do lots of giveaways and some extra content on the side in the form of reels. So the E46 M3, as you can see here, my car looks very similar to one, but it is not one. The reasons for that being, and we've talked about this in previous videos, is that the E46 M3 has all the performance parts made for that car. So if you want to have canards that fit absolutely perfect, you're going to need an M3 front bumper. If you want a mouth to better take in air and move through your intercooler and oil coolers and through the brake ducts, and same goes with the hood and the fenders and other parts on the car that I have installed to make the car handle performance mods better than the standard E46 chassis. These parts were not purchased to make the car look like an M3. They were only purchased to, like I said, make it easier to find performance parts for the car. So the first reason why I don't have an E46 M3 is a reason we've gone over in a previous video. Basically, I think they're absolutely timeless cars. I think one of the best looking BMWs ever created, and I wouldn't want to modify it very much. I would do a few things. I'd do like the logo, do some vinyls on the logo, maybe change out the grills black, put some angel eyes in it, maybe paint the calipers. There's really not a lot that I would do to them, and so what that does is it makes it so there's not a lot of content for all of you. So unless I found one for super cheap, if I found one that was like one that I would want to keep nice, that's what I would be doing. We wouldn't be doing projects like this on that car, and so it would basically mean that I've got all this money tied up and I'm not creating any content with it. I could make some videos out of it, but it'd be a very small modification list, a tune maybe, that kind of stuff. And that goes into the next point, which is budget and overhead, basically. Having an E46 M3 would be essentially overhead. It would be money tied up in a car that I am not creating content with. And so from my standpoint, instead of taking, you know, that $15,000 to $25,000 on a nice M3 and just having that money stay in that car, I'm able to do a lot of stuff to this car, the other car, other shop projects, other vehicles that come through here. We're able to keep that money moving and keep the projects coming and be able to show everybody online more projects instead of just, oh, here's my M3, you know, thanks for watching. Now that number I said earlier goes into my next point, which is how much these cars cost. Luckily enough, actually it really hasn't been that insane. We've seen recently the first six-figure M3, but it was basically perfect. You had perfect paint, perfect color of paint, perfect color of interior, the exact year, special VIN. They are up, but they're also fairly level, steady pricing. And they're still just a little bit out of my reach when it comes to what I want to spend on a car to basically collect, almost. And so the market itself, when I said that number 15 to 25 grand, that's kind of the entry level for finding one that has a manual that's a coupe. And then everything else you kind of decided to have to disregard. You're not going to be able to really pick your paint color. You're not really going to be able to pick the wheels it's got. You're not really going to be able to pick the interior it's got. The fact that it's a coupe and a manual is really all you're going to be able to look for between 15 to 25 grand. And we got really lucky when we found this one that's just above me, the S54 wagon swap that we did. That car was on Facebook, and we already knew that it had it was beat up pretty good. And we actually paid plenty for it, for the damage that it had on it. And then he physically ran the car down to the point where it was borderline salvage. If we would have taken it to the insurance company, they probably would have totaled it out between the hood, the fender, the skirt, front bumper, the suspension that needed to be fixed. If you'd have taken it to an insurance company, they would have had a whole bunch of really high numbers for each one of those pieces. So that was rare. And if we came across another one at that price point, $7,500 is what we paid to go and get it. It was $6,500 and it was about $1,000 to go and get it. If we could find one for that price point, I'd probably be tempted to do it. But the 15 to 25 grand price point, like I said, it's just tying too much money up, and I wouldn't have content to show everybody because I wouldn't be modifying the car. The other thing that would do if I bought one is it would take my focus away from this car, and I'm really trying to push and get this one done. It keeps getting pushed and put on the back burner constantly, and I feel really bad for everybody who's excited to see this car done. It's not going to be done anytime soon. You're just going to see little projects here and there, and hopefully this next summer we can get a bunch of stuff done to the car, but I don't want anything taking my focus away from this. An M3 would take up a lot of money, and money is time, and time is focus. So I wouldn't want to buy something that's going to compete with my efforts of getting this car done. The other thing is space. As you can see, actually I'm not sure, yeah, you can just barely see the lift here above me. There's a car up there, and there's a car here, and that's kind of all the space I have here in the shop. So it'd be basically buying an M3 and then sticking it out on the driveway. I don't want to do that. If I bought an M3, it'd be something that I would mostly stick inside. It'd get very few miles. It's not that I wouldn't drive it, it just wouldn't be a daily driver, where I've got a profession where you really need a pickup truck. So yeah, that's really the reasons why I don't own an M3, and I don't want a list like this to prevent you from getting an M3. Obviously, if you're stuck in the exact same position I'm in, then yeah, an M3 probably doesn't make a ton of sense unless you really want to do a track build like this. And again, we've talked about that before, why I didn't do a track build M3, and the majority of that's money, the initial purchase to get the car, and then most parts for the engines are going to just be that much more expensive. So if you can swing it, anything you got to do to make it happen, get yourself an E46 M3. I think they are some of the best cars ever built, some of the best proportioned looking, even some of the colors I don't like on an M3. There's not going to be a single time where I'm not breaking my neck watching your car drive past me. I could be in this car and I'd be breaking my neck looking at your stock M3. I think they're just, I can fanboy all day about them. You know how I feel about them. A lot of people think that I don't like the M3 because I keep building basically non-Ms, and that's just not the case. When it comes to content, building stuff for everybody watching, the best bang for the buck is to build the non-Ms. And maybe one day we'll work up to it. Maybe one day the channel will make enough money to be able to buy an M3, and then it's kind of channel owned and it's not my personal one. There's many avenues that I could go about owning one at some point, but for right now, the black M3 VIN that we have is the closest I've got to owning an M3. So thanks everybody so much for watching. I keep mentioning this car that's above me that you can't see. I'll make sure to have the link to that build up here and in the description below. Thanks everybody so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down in the comment section below. I really want to hear from everybody. Do you already own an M3? Are you looking at buying one? Did my video persuade you or not persuade you to buy one? I want to know everybody's thoughts and comments. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
Bam!